Welcome to Deep Thought, realizing a lifelong truth. Now, there was a podcast either last week or the week before where I talked about just facing a false belief or just realizing something. I think I was talking about beauty. You know, you get many people who are like considered physically beautiful, but they go through life thinking they're unattractive. But what if something happens? What if something happens that, circumstances, people, whichever deity the person worships, a dream, hanging upside down, looking into a mirror and then falling and then hitting your head and then realizing, having an aha moment. Like you realize, hey, I'm beautiful. Or you realize it could be something else. It could be like you went through your life thinking you're not that bright, or, you're dumb or whatever. But something, a series of events happens like, oh, you were smart all along. And the only reason you were considered dumb, well, you were in a hostile environments where someone, because of your race, gender, religion, how you look, whatever, was calling you dumb. But you were always very smart. It could be anything, or that you are good at something. I remember, I'll use myself for an example. And this was realizing a real life truth years ago when I first really got started on YouTube. Or even before that, when I worked for this group, and I was doing, internet radio. I was like, man, I could have been did this, but I didn't think I was a type built for media. And this is even after I wrote my books. I knew I could write, but visual media, when I'm standing in front of a camera and talking, I didn't think that would be me. But I look back at it now, I was like, wait a minute, I could have always did that. In high school, I was starring in a couple plays. But then there was some plays I didn't star in or even get a speaking part. So it was like, okay. So I focused on that. So I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't be the man or anything like that. And it was like, no, the truth was you were built for media. And I used to have people tell me that. In fact, that's how I got started in it. A gentleman, he wanted me to do an internet radio show for him. He said, look, you built for this. He wouldn't let me off the phone till I agreed. And I was nervous and everything. But I was like, wait, this is natural for me. And people say, Rom, you're just a natural at it. But I didn't realize that lifelong truth until then. And it changes everything. It changes how you look at everything. And it changes maybe some of the stuff because, when we go through life, having a belief about something, we develop a pattern around it. We develop things we do. We develop, we might develop where we might eat, the type of clothes that we have, the type of people that we hang around, the type of people we get into a relationship with, the type of spiritual path we might follow. And none of it might not fit us because we're walking through life. We didn't know the truth about who we were and what we should have been doing. We had that false belief. Now, I've talked several times about false beliefs. All of us got some type of false belief. Some of us got some extreme ones where, it'd take a lifetime to deal with them all. Some of us got some small ones, but they still false beliefs. And, and of course, once you have that belief, you do stuff. I mean, you might be that type, like I used the beauty example, which is a pretty good, or like, say, let me use a body example, not even a facial thing, but a body example. What if you got like a woman and she got a Coke bottle figure, but not realizing that her figure is attractive, she always hides it. And because she hides it, she doesn't attract like the most optimal men to her. Because, man, let's be real, especially for the ladies listening. You want to attract a mate, that body. That body. In fact, let me go off on a tangent, because I know I do that on this channel. There was someone on Instagram, and this woman was saying, hey, keep your body in shape if you want to attract that masculine man. You know? So getting back to the example I was using, this woman had a perfect shape to attract not just one masculine man, several. But because at some point in her, in her growth or just growing up as a kid, somebody called her ugly. They were lying or say, oh, that's an ugly body, hide it. And it was more or less the person had some issues, right? They had some issues. So, it was like, well, what we going to do about this? So she's hiding everything. And because she's hiding everything, she don't attract the best type of man or the most dynamic type of man which she could attract. She attracts some dude who's a bum, who ain't doing anything, who barely work or everything, and maybe even a little bit abusive. So that leads to other stuff. She's not doing the best job that she could probably get into. Life is just kind of sucking for her, really. Because she didn't realize that one truth. She was beautiful. She had that type of body to not only attract the best men and the most masculine men, but also to get the best type of thing to do for a living. Because she might have been that person who, she could have been good on media or doing stuff visually. It could have been a model, something like that. And so, you realize that. So, okay, so you going through, you got the false belief that got you going on a certain path, right? You got that false belief got you going on a certain path. Then you get hit with the truth. That could change everything. That could change everything. Like, let me go further with that example I used of the woman. Okay, she got a Coke bottle figure, would have been great in front of the camera. But something happens where it's exposed to her, and then she realizes, oh, wait, I could have been doing this. All of a sudden, that guy, that bum guy that she probably married, maybe even had kids with, all of a sudden, she can't deal with them the same way. She might have to move on, even with the kids, because they being raised a certain way. And all of a sudden, she's saying, well, wait a minute. I got a daughter here, got the same thing. Let me do something different. All of a sudden, because what happens is once you realize the truth, then you got to look at everything around you. Because your whole life is based on whatever your belief system is. And if it's a false belief or is it based on a basic lie, then it's like, man, you got to change everything. You might have to, first of all, it becomes hard to go to that job because that job was based on that belief system. You get rid of that belief system, it's like, wait, man, I don't know if I can do it. And I've seen people to do that. They change their belief system. They can't work on that same job anymore. They can't do the same things they've been doing, and then they especially can't deal with the mate that they might have got because the mate was based on that belief system. But as you develop that truth, you realize, oh, wait, I can't deal with that mate anymore. And that's the thing. And trust me, I've been through that. All of a sudden, you start looking at stuff. And then, the best thing that could happen when that happens is you look back at some things and think, oh, wow, I could have did this or that. And I'm saying that's the best thing because then it's like, okay, you learned a lesson. The worst thing is you caught up in a whole lot of stuff that you just can't get over. Like, the woman in that case, she might feel like she need to lead a man and train, bring the kids up differently, but that's hard to do. That's hard to do because he's probably like, oh, wait, you can't go anywhere. Or that could be anything, you could be on a job. You could be on a particular job, like very important. You making a lot of money. Let's say you on some job. Okay, your false belief system got you up there to a job making 6 figures. You realize the truth that this really ain't you. And you really need to leave this job to the point where your health is in effect, because that could affect your health being on the job. Yeah, you making a lot of money, but your health is jacked up. But then it's like, oh, how can I leave? Because you got all that money, you probably got some property, everything. It's hard to walk away from that. But once you realize that truth, you still have to go with it because that's who you are. Think on that. Think on that. So anyway, That's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.